Welcome back to our weekly walkthrough where we bring the above, below, and talk about the transits you should know. So we are on to our week of March 9th through the 15th. And in some ways it's a lot slower and less eventful. We're moving out of eclipse season finally. But there are some pretty crunchy transits this week. We start off Monday with the Scorpio moon still in fall opposing Uranus. Early in the morning, jumps over into Sagittarius where we get a trine to Neptune, Saturn, and Venus, sextile to Pluto, and a square to Mars. With this, our Sagittarius moon is our bi-monthly mutual reception while we still have Cancer Jupiter. And the general start of the week, we have the Four of Wands reversed. And this feels like trying to make the most of a rough situation. This feels like, okay, things are grim, but how do I bake through them? How do I spend time with family through them? How do I enjoy my home when I can, for those who can? How can I take the little sips of life that are going to nourish me through the tumult? And with that, our whole vibe of the week is the Three of Swords. There is a lot of heartache and a lot of grief right now. And so we need to be actively tending to life, tending to beauty, tending to vitality, tending to each other while feeling it. We're holding two competing truths right now. And we feel that a little bit more acutely when we hit Tuesday, where our first transit, some of you, this will be late Monday night, but it's Aries, Venus, sextile, Pluto. And we have smoking death reversed. And this is that reminder about the casual nature of transformation and what happens when we resist it. What happens when it gets ignored? What happens when we only look for the big things and ignore the small changes that are our responsibility, especially internally? And we're also going to have the moon square the north node. Moon at the bendings of the nodes is always confusing, a little disorienting, and doubly so because we also get the moon square Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And at 9:29 p.m., Jupiter is going to station direct in Cancer. Stationing days are turning points. They are big punctuations. But with the moon being at the bending on this station point, I don't feel like we're going to get the level of resonant clarity because there is kind of a feedback loop. Like the moon ruling Jupiter is at the bending of the nodes. Mercury, ruled by Jupiter, is retrograde and in fall. There's a lot of struggle to identify like what is really happening. And that's why we want to come back to those basic actions of change, of release, of what is necessary to kind of clear out our lives. And I will say with smoking death reversed, unfortunately, in light of recent events, there may be a little bit of a literal component to some of that. Now, we move on to Wednesday, our half moon. When the moon squares the sun in Pisces, we'll trine Chiron. But other than the aspect of Chiron, we do have a void of course moon until she drops over into Capricorn at 10:07 p.m. And so we're still feeling very transitional. We're still feeling very in between. And we have lightning in a bottle. But this lightning in a bottle is the one that is manufactured. It's about how do we create our own opportunities. And I feel like there is a big question in that this week. When there is struggle, when there is grief, when it is hard, how do we find the thing that we need to make something work? How do we cultivate the energy we need to do something? And, lightning in a bottle also makes me think of planetary materia, when we bottle the sky, when we capture transits into something and use them for later. And, this might be a week where we need a little bit more materia because looking up isn't doing us many favors. On Thursday, we have the Seven of Pentacles reversed. And that Capricorn moon, unlike the Sagittarius moon, instead of our lovely trines, we get a bunch of squares to the planets in Aries. We square Neptune, we square Saturn, we square Venus. Then we get sextiles to all of our people in Pisces with Mars, the North Node, and Mercury. And so this feels, again, there's a quality of dysfunction. There's a quality of lack of satisfaction. Like, can I even build anything right now? Are my efforts even worth anything? And part of this is the overarching story of Neptune and Saturn together. And somebody recently posted an excerpt of Cosmos and Psyche and the Richard Tarnas section on that, and how there is a collective disenchantment, a collective grief, a sense of loss, the death of a dream. And so with that this week, I want you to make space to grieve and to hold these things, but not hold on like you have to keep them, but just hold on like in meditation. Hold on like we hold on to the breath, to recognize scrapping everything isn't the answer, but creating more space maybe, giving yourself more time for doing things, prioritizing things differently, reevaluating how you are handling projects, which is just a general good Mercury retrograde tool. So don't just throw it all out, but maybe take more breaks. We move on to Friday, and we get that Capricorn moon, Cancer, Jupiter opposition. And then we get one of the rougher transits, which is Pisces, Mars conjunct the North Node. And this is another one of those transits that can herald things like violence. It can herald problems. It can herald heated aggression, a hunger for aggression, righteousness, especially with the trine to Jupiter supporting all of this, like belief-based actions. And I want you to take them for the right reasons. We have the Strength card. And this particular Strength card is our Lion Rabbit confrontation. And that reminder that strength can be deceptive and that overwhelming odds don't always equal overwhelming victories. Like, we love an underdog story. And so this is about holding the part of you that wants to lash out in check and channeling that energy more constructively. Also, on a really practical level, don't overdo it. Because the North Node can really make us overclock our system. So if you're doing any Marsy stuff like strength training or athleticism or debating and stuff, preemptively put in the end point and don't go beyond it, because that's where strain and hurt and problems can really start coming up. Like, don't override your own limits, especially because that Mars North Node conjunction is going to be ruling the Neptune Saturn conjunction. It's a whole thing. We got a whole cocktail going on, and it's not my favorite. We move over to Saturday, and here we find Capricorn moon trining Uranus at the end of Taurus before dropping into Aquarius, sextiling Neptune, Saturn, conjuncting Pluto. And with this, we have the Nine of Swords reversed. And Saturday, especially because it's Saturn's day, I highly recommend just making some space to calibrate your nervous system. Like, whatever that means to you, whatever that looks like for you, I want you to really let yourself slow down. And, do somatic shaking, get the energy out first. Whatever movement practices you have that help channel that, get more sleep, hydrate more, just really try to get the anxiety out, because it just keeps coming. And on Sunday, we have the Mars-Mercury conjunction, which is another day where I'm not looking forward to headlines. And with that, it's going to be a turning point. So find your people. Stay safe and stay with